I just had to make sure that not only did I beat Joe, but I would annihilate Joe. And that's exactly what I did. I think because his legs are so small, it just doesn't flow. It just doesn't look right.
Hey guys, Ivan here, and in today's video we got a couple of really interesting bodybuilding updates, and we got some drama as well. And I know nobody likes the drama, but this video is probably gonna have more views than any other video without the drama in the past month or so. Anyways, we got some drama and also we got some real bodybuilding updates, but the first thing we gotta talk about is this whole chaos with Charles Girffen. So I'm sure you guys have seen this podcast with Fuad Abiad and Charles Girffen, and this guy just went wild at Fuad Abiad. He went crazy at him. He was so pissed off that Fuad, as he says, doesn't give him enough love, doesn't have him high in his predictions, doesn't see him as one of the best bodybuilders, and in my opinion, Fuad was just being objective, and he gave Charles probably way more praise than, for example, I did, but Charles still felt like he deserves more, and this actually became really bombastic, this podcast, that's probably the right word, but in the end, they made up. Charles actually became really emotional. He talked about some real private stuff, he opened up about some things that I don't think I ever heard a bodybuilder open up about, and it was very interesting to hear that. So it was a good podcast for sure, but there are some interesting parts of it that are gonna be some drama. I'm not trying to stir anything. It happened. It's out there. Everybody else is talking about it, so I want to report on it as well. And basically, it is Charles calling out Joe Palacios and feeling like he deserved to beat him, as he did at the finals, but he thought he was overlooked at the prejudging and that he should have placed higher than Joe at Tampa Pro. Check this out, guys.
What was it about Joe that you particularly thought? Was it because
just that midsection, just the shapes, the shapes and the look of his body? It's just like his legs. Like his legs are like I'd rather have a small back and big legs and big quads than to have a big back and smaller quads. You know what I mean? Legs are a big thing in bodybuilding. You know what I mean? So I'd rather have a small back and have some big ass legs. I think because his legs are so small, it just doesn't flow. It just doesn't look right.
So basically the main thing Charles is talking about is the leg size, the discrepancy between the upper and the lower body, or the lack of symmetry or proportions. Basically saying that Joe's legs are too small, pretty much. And that's what he said in those words exactly. For Joe's upper body, his legs are small. And do I agree with that? I mean, sure, like his legs are a weak point for him, especially quads from the front. But if I'm comparing these two bodybuilders, I say the difference here is night and day, man. It's night and day. I think Joe is a far, far better bodybuilder than Charles Girffen. Now, Charles did take that top 10 spot at the Mr. Olympia. That's a crazy result, for sure. But that was also before he retired, before he came back from retirement. I don't know how much better was he before, but just comparing him to Joe right here in the same lineup, in the same call-out, Joe is just so much bigger, man, so much fuller, rounder, so much more of a complete open-class bodybuilder. I don't think it's really close. I understand that they gave Charles the win of the finals, and that happened simply because Charles was in really good condition and Joe was off with condition. But even an off Joe still beats a very good Charles Girffen. I mean, he was spot on conditioning-wise. He peaked well. He was shredded. He had confidence. He was very aggressive on that stage. He owned that stage. He had so much energy. He was drawing attention, but it just wasn't enough. I mean, it's not that big of a difference, obviously, since Charles is beating him at the finals, but in my opinion, Joe is still a much better bodybuilder and has so much more potential than Charles. And this is what Joe looks like right now. So, yeah, I think he's definitely coming along. I think he and his coach, Justin Compton, are going to bring a really good condition for the next show. That was the issue at Tampa, but just a little bit drier and sharper and harder. Joe is going to be very, very difficult to be beaten by anyone, of course, including Charles Girffen. James Hollingshead as well. James is looking crazy right now as well, but even the best version of James, which would be China Pro, versus a perfectly peaked Joe Palacios, I still think it's Joe, in my opinion, because he's just so much freakier, bigger, more complete, and overall better. But that leg issue definitely is going to give him some trouble. I mean, the legs are definitely a problem. Here is a new version of Joe's front double bicep. He's doing it now, this way now, and it's looking better for sure. He makes his waist look smaller. He's doing a vacuum, a pretty deep vacuum for a massive guy like that. And also the way he's posing with his legs makes his X-frame much, much better. So I love this way of hitting this pose. The way he was hitting it at Tampa was just, too squarish, just straight on, without any decoration. How would I put it? Basically, it was just a very, very simple front double bicep. Now he's making some tweaks to it, and it looks more artistic, better, more aesthetic for sure. And again, it definitely creates a better illusion of V-tape, or actually an X-frame. He has a good V-taper, like his waist is a little bit wider, sure, but he has big lats and he knows how to pull a vacuum. But it's really important that he creates a good X-frame because of his leg imbalance. I gotta put it that way. So unimproved Joe Palacios will definitely, in my opinion, not definitely, but is going to probably beat Charles at Atlanta and probably James, but I don't know about James. James looks crazy right now. Joe definitely needs to be much improved to surpass him, to beat him. Now, another part of this podcast was very, very interesting, and it's kind of off topic right now. Everybody pretty much forgot about Matt Jansen as a coach, but in this podcast, Charles kind of opens up about that. He says that, actually, let me play this part for you before I talk about it.
I'm going to be straight up real. I couldn't really be myself with Matt. Like, I was doing, I would never do it again in my life. That DMP shit.
No, I didn't. I never touched that.
Like, I will never do that again. Like,
No.
I was getting ran into the ground.
That was pretty crazy, right? I mean, what he says basically is that he was using DNP with his previous coach, which is insane. That's definitely the most toxic compound out there, and not a lot of coaches are willing to play with it. Apparently, Matt Jansen was doing it. So if anybody thinks Matt Jansen was a good coach, I don't know, man. I think pretty much anybody can get shredded using that stuff. But what's going to happen with their health, that's definitely debatable. So, yeah. I mean, just a new information just came out. And it doesn't sound very good for Matt, but thankfully he's out of the coaching business and he's moving on to something else. Thank God. Anyway, the next topic we got for today is some new drama as well, and it's also involving Joe Palacios, but in this time, he is being called out by Nick Walker. So on this new podcast, one of 20 podcasts that Nick was a co-host at. This is the newest podcast with his newest coach. He basically has a podcast with every coach. He had one with Guy. I think he had one with Kyle Wilkes. He had one with his former training partner that he doesn't follow anymore, so they are not friends anymore. So yeah. This is one of many, and this is the newest one. It doesn't even have 1,000 subscribers, so guys, you can subscribe to it if you want. It probably won't last too long, so better hurry up. And in this one, Nick is kind of talking about this whole drama, this whole rivalry with Joe Palacios. Now, Nick never really spoke about it much, and Joe Palacios talked about Nick every single day, basically, of this prep. I mean, everybody else was just asking him that, whether he's going to be able to beat Nick, and he was saying that he's going to do it. But based on Nick, Joe said some disrespectful things. Let me play what Nick had to say about Joe.
You can't call me out and talk and show up looking like that. That's not how this is going to work, And if I have anything to say about that, just don't talk. Don't ever talk. Now, one of the comments that Joe made that I found a little disrespectful toward me was basically the one where he said, and I don't know if the exact words, but on the lines of, I'm everything that they wanted Nick to be. And I just found that to be very disrespectful. Um, and so for me, hearing that, I just had to make sure that not only did I beat Joe, but I would annihilate Joe. And that's exactly what I did.
Look, I mean, if Joe really said that, and I think I remember him saying that he's kind of disrespectful, but I don't think Joe cares, really. I mean, he was just trying to, to answer to all these questions. He didn't start this drama. It was us, the social media of the sport. We kind of created it because they're both mass monsters, and he just ran with it. And what he's going to gain from this is a ton of followers. People will hear about his name. And now that Nick is even commenting on him, that's freaking awesome. And you might be wondering now, is Joe going to be able to take all this pressure? I mean, Charles Girffen talking stuff about him, and now Nick as well. I know Joe personally, and I'm pretty sure he won't take any of this personally. I'm pretty sure he's just, focused on his prep right now, and if he's able to smile, he's smiling at all of this because it's just growing his name. He has one of the best bodybuilders, potentially the next Mr. Olympia, talking about him and their so-called rival. Yes, Nick says that he annihilated him, but we watched the show. It didn't really happen that way. Sure, Nick beat him convincingly, but Joe was off. If Joe was on, he probably would have pushed Nick a little bit better. And also, arguably, Joe is even maybe bigger than Nick. Nick might have a better structure. I know, crazy to hear that, but yeah, I think he has a better structure than Joe. But as far as the size, it's not really that big of a difference. So yeah, this is all really positive for Joe. I mean, up until last year, nobody even knew about the guy. He never won a pro show. He still never won a pro show, and the whole bodybuilding world is talking about him. So this is definitely awesome. If he wins, and I think he will win the next show and goes to the Mr. Olympia a little bit improved, a little bit more shredded, with maybe a little bit better posing, I think he can be a top 10 bodybuilder. And all this drama, let's put it that way, this whole marketing, let's say that's probably a better word, more accurate word for this. It's just going to be a great thing for him. It's not going to hurt him in any way. But whatever you guys think about this whole chaos right now and about Joe Palacios, tell me down below in the comments. All right, guys. So in a couple of days, actually in 2 days, I think from now, we're going to have the next pro show, and that's Atlanta Pro. And in my previous video, kind of breaking down the athletes who are doing this show, I had, of course, Joe, Charles, and James in the top 3. I totally forgot to include Regan Grimes. I mean, I know he was prepping, and recently he announced that he's doing Atlanta. I kind of saw it, but I forgot about it. And yeah, I mean, you got to talk about this guy because on paper, he should probably win the Atlanta. I mean, especially considering how many shows he's won so far and that he was top 10 at the Mr. Olympia. I mean, yeah, Charles Girffen was top 10 as well, but he retired for a year and a half, 2 years or so. So this is not the best version of Charles Girffen, and James and freaking Joe Palacios both beat Charles. So now we have Regan Grimes getting into that mix, and he should probably, I guess, win Atlanta. Do I see it that way? No. No, I do not. I'm sorry. Yes, I know. On paper, he should win, but I just don't see it. I just don't see that in this physique. So he posted this photo 6 days ago. This is his most recent shot of his conditioning. Does he look shredded? Not really. Does he look bigger and improved? I mean, if he does, I don't see it here. Maybe he's just too flat here, but I don't know. Is he going to be off? No, I don't think he ever has any fat on his glutes. He just got so much muscle on his glutes and the hamstrings, so he's always separated in that area, even though he does look kind of, blurred a little bit right here. But after he dehydrates, after he does a peak week, he's going to be good. He's going to be tight in the glutes and the hamstrings, and overall, he's going to be good. There is this photo as well from, as you can see, July 24th, in which he does look like he's in better shape. Again, not really much improved. But, he does have, like, really good lines, small waist, enough size that he probably can win this show. But I just feel like Joe Palacios are really good, really peaked well, Joe Palacios, even though he doesn't have the structure of Regan Grimes, can be just too much, too much of a freak factor. And James as well. James is a freak right now, especially. He's bringing some crazy level of density and conditioning and, graininess and fullness and hardness. So, but we'll see. Maybe these photos are deceiving. Maybe Regan actually looks really good. If he is spot on, if he improved a little bit, if he's just really on, then, sure, he should probably win Atlanta. After that, we got Texas. So let's assume Joe Palacios wins Atlanta, maybe Texas is going to be won by Regan, and James can go back to Europe and win the Austria show, even though he's going to have Damien Kaffel at that show, that Polish freak. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe James wins the next one. Who knows? I have no idea who's going to win, but Regan is definitely in that mix, and he might very well, change the plans of these two guys, and just win this show. What do you guys think? Do you have Regan winning or not? Tell me down below. Oh, and lastly, real quick, we also got a physique update from retired Flex Lewis. That's right. I don't know if you guys forgot about this guy. I don't know how many of you are new to the sport, but this is your, I think, 7-time 212 Mr. Olympia champion, the most dominant 212 Mr. Olympia of all time, arguably the best 212 Mr. Olympia of all time. Deep lines in his quads. He has good-looking abs. His shape is kind of still there. He didn't melt or he didn't lose any body parts. He always had massive arms, and they're still pretty big, so it's pretty safe to assume he never did a lot of SEO in them. If he did, they would probably atrophy by now. The delts are still pretty round for a retired guy. Chest is there. He kind of looks like Seth Ferosi, basically, size-wise, conditioning-wise, shape-wise as well. So, yeah, very good for retirement. Could he come back potentially and compete? Probably, yeah. He looks fresh enough. But I don't see that happening. Anyways, this is what Flex looks like right now. Whatever you guys think, tell me down below in the comments. That is going to do it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. See you soon, guys. All the best, and bye-bye.